Jonathan Lemire, your take.
Well, I think that it's not just further evidence that Mitch McConnell has a firm grip on his caucus, and this was not going to go that way. But it also is further evidence that this is President Trump's Republican Party now, completely. It has been handed over to him in every way, that he is now the first president who will go through an impeachment without witnesses. That Lamar Alexander, yes, he's close to Mitch McConnell, but part of the calculation is also what comes next for him. He's retiring. He's still got to earn a living. He still wants to be able to not suffer a backlash from this president, or I'm sure he also wants to have a profitable future that may be denied him, where he decided to really break with a president right now who has an 80, 85, 89% approval rating within his own party. Susan Collins was allowed to vote this way because she needed the cover for her election, because Mitch McConnell wants to keep his majority even more than perhaps President Trump wants. He wants President Trump to keep the White House. And Mitt Romney's sort of his own creation. He's sort of a unique situation there in Utah with his own constituency. Right. So we certainly anticipate there's some chatter tonight that he's on the verge of saying that he will be saying yes to witnesses as well. And that has been sort of expected all along. But this is, think about what happens next for the president. Assume this goes as we assume. There's not some 11th hour shock. He will be acquitted perhaps as soon as tomorrow, no later than Saturday. He then gets to, on Sunday, give a victory lap interview during the Super Bowl pregame show, which will be one of the most watched events of the year. Then next week, he'll cruise, of course, unopposed in the Iowa caucus on Monday. He gets to deliver his State of the Union on Tuesday, staring down the Democrats in the chamber, saying, I survived impeachment. And he then, as the re-election campaign really heats up, he goes in as strong a position as he can hope.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.